Wilkinson.
No problem. Morning. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I want to particularly actually thank Stephen for not only repeated invitation, but for arranging regular speakers. Having spoken to various people who've spoken here over the past few months, we all enjoy coming. We all enjoy the opportunity of the environment, and we're very grateful to you for that. I actually want to widen that out and say I think we actually owe in Edgware a debt of gratitude to Edgware United as an organisation to continue to provide us to socially, religiously, the davening here. Someone said to me, where do I sometimes go for Mincha Marav? I said, well, I'll go to Edgware United because I always know that there'll be a minyan there. Always guaranteed that there'll be a minyan. Not every other shul can guarantee that. I think you do provide an awful lot. And I mean, my connection with Edgware United goes back many years. There's a foundation stone behind me when the shul was originally built. And I know my father, Shalom, was an attendee in those days. I myself attended the Cups here, the 11th Edgware. So I have a lot to be grateful for. The fact I can tie a knot is all down to Edgware. I also want to say that the words I'm saying today will be in the source of the hostages, Be'ezus Hashem. They will be released healthily soon. And also Lili Nishmas Rabbi Yitzhak ben Mordechai, my father-in-law's, whose yahrzeit is during this week. Always find it interesting, his name was Yitzhak ben Mordechai, and Yitzhak, the middle of the Avot, and what do we know about Yitzhak? It's really he's the most concealed of the Avot. We learn little about him, but he really occupies a central role in only one parsha in Bereshit, and we don't know much about him, but there is a lot that we can learn from his actions and his interactions. And I think, although we view him sometimes as being passive, he was the subject of the Akedah. He was married off. He didn't get involved in that. He redug his father's wells. But I think there's something we can learn. There are lots we can learn from him. That's something I want to particularly pick up on today, that I think is relevant to the situation we find ourselves in the world, and certainly relevant to some of the discussions I have with people outside the Jewish community when they can consider and discuss the political situation in Israel. And I think there is a particular episode that happens to Yitzhak that I just want to draw our attention to and try and point something out from that I've learned and maybe gives us a lesson. In a very similar episode, something that happened to his father Abraham, Yitzhak is approached, as we know, by Avimelech, Melech HaPlishtim, the king of the Philistines, for the purpose of contracting a covenant of non-belligerence. And after throwing a celebratory party, Yitzhak apparently agrees, and the two part b'shalom, in peace. And I think that whole episode is a problem. I struggle with it. How on earth are we to understand what Yitzhak does? Look at the words, look at what happens in there. Confronted with a request for a peace treaty with the Palestinians, he seems to end the conversation and throws a party which lasts throughout the night. That's not your normal reaction. And also, it's very interesting, if you go back a few psukim, Avimelech entered into a brit, a treaty with Abraham. And a number of the Rabbonim are very critical of Abraham for entering into this peace treaty, particularly the Rashbam. The Rashbam actually says that this peace treaty with Avimelech led directly to the Akedah. The fact that Abraham entered into an agreement with the Philistines led to Hashem saying to him, you view this as your thing, I'm going to now test you by sacrificing your son. And that's the Rashbam's response. That's why he thinks the Akedah comes immediately after this peace treaty. Yet, when Yitzhak has this encounter with Avimelech, there is no such criticism from the Rabbonim. Now, why are these two episodes that seem very similar? Why are they different? What's the issue? Now, I think, again, if you read straightforward, shut of the text, it's very, very revealing. It tells us an awful lot. It actually, I think, tells us of what is going on between these two individuals. And actually, I think this is what is so relevant for where we are now. As soon as Yitzhak sees Avimelech approach with his followers, he raises an objection. He says, "Why have you come to me? It's obvious that you hate me. You threw me out from living amongst you." And Avimelech's response is, "Look, I've actually come to enter a Brit, a covenant with you, that you don't do evil to us, just as we didn't harm you, as we only did good to you, we sent you away in peace." Now, there is no disagreement between Avimelech and Yitzhak about the facts. They both acknowledge that in their previous encounter, Yitzhak was thrown out of the territory of the Philistines. But I think what they disagree about is something that's absolutely crucial at the moment. What they disagree about is something much deeper, and that's a definition of shalom, peace. And let's just try and look through what's going on and see what each of us mean by shalom, by peace. I think this is an amazing idea for us at the moment. Yitzhak starts the conversation with an objection. How can you, Avimelech, suggest that we have a peace treaty? Your intentions until now have been anything but peaceful. Didn't you hate me? Didn't you throw me out of the land? And Avimelech's response is, how can you say we hate you? If we hated you, we'd have killed you. Our intentions must have been peaceful because all we did is we threw you out. They're living in different worlds. Yitzhak and Avimelech are completely different worlds. Avimelech defines peace as the absence of war. As long as the two parties are not killing each other, in his eyes, they're living in peace. Yitzhak, for us, peace means much more. For true peace, there must be not only an absence of hostility, there has to be an effort towards cooperation. Anything less is arguably mutual coexistence, but is not peace. And then at first glance, what Yitzhak does next is peculiar. What does he do? Instead of responding to Avimelech's interpretation, he stops the conversation. Without another word, what does he do? He says he made for them a party and they ate and they drank. Now, I think we can actually look at what Yitzhak is doing. He recognizes that any further conversations with Avimelech is a waste of energy. They're on different pages. They're not talking about the same thing. Any further conversation would be futile. You can negotiate with someone with whom you share the same reality when you have terms of mutual understanding. But when you've got this unbridgeable chasm between Yitzhak and Avimelech, when they speak about peace, they're talking about two totally different things, totally different concepts. And if you can't agree on the definition of peace, then you can't have a peace treaty. Yitzhak ends the conversation. And as a smoke screen, what does he do? He throws a celebratory party that lasts through the night. And what happens then? When they wake up in the morning, Yitzhak and Avimelech exchange promises with each other. But if you look through the words, it doesn't use the word Brit. There's no covenant between the two. Unlike his father, Yitzhak does not enter into a Brit with Avimelech. He doesn't enter into a full covenant with the Philistine. He recognizes that, yes, you can have a temporary agreement with Avimelech, but a lasting covenant cannot be drawn up. And then finally, I think Yitzhak actually does something wonderful. I think there's irony in the Torah. What does he do? He sent them away with shalom. He sent them away in peace. He actually turns the tables on Avimelech. He says, I'm going to operate with you on your terms. This is where you sent me away in peace. I'm sending you away in peace. Abraham entered into a full covenant with Avimelech, and he continued to live in the territory of the Pelishtim, we're told, for many days. Yitzhak understands the danger of that agreement. He insists on physical separation. He recognizes that the Pelishtim can only be trusted in a small way and from a distance. And I think that's why the rabbis are not critical of Yitzhak's behavior. They were critical of Abraham because he tried to live with the Pelishtim. He tried to understand on their terms. Yitzhak learned their lesson. He learned the lesson. You have to have physical separation. You have to understand where they're coming from. At the moment, we know that there is talk about a ceasefire. Please God, there will be a ceasefire, but we have to remember there's nothing new under the sun. And so many people say to me, we need peace in the Middle East. Yes, we do need peace in the Middle East, but we need our understanding of peace, not Avimelech's understanding of peace. We need Yitzhak's understanding. And I think maybe the failure of peace processes and everyone's suggestions of peace processes in the Middle East is traceable to the hypocritical definition of peace in a lot of the world. True peace, shalom that we believe in, cannot take root in countries where children are raised in hate, where rhetoric lauds murderers, where they have venom spewed upon our country. And even those countries that enter into accords with Israel, even some peace agreements with Israel, they fall short of what peace should mean. Like Avimelech, they seem to believe that peace is the absence of war. And that's what so many people in the world talk about. I think we have to teach the world, and we ourselves have to understand that for peace, you need to have cooperation, you need to have support, you need to have mutual understanding and respect. And only that way can we actually see the reality of peace. Bezrat Hashem, we will very soon be in a world where everyone embraces Yitzhak's definition.
Very much. Thank you for that. I'll say goodbye to those on Zoom and then I'll finish off the proceedings here. First of all,